Hey guys, welcome back to TitanCraft. So last time we built this tunnel here that goes all the way down to the end portal here. And last time I had also mentioned that I wanted to talk about this space here. So I said that I think this looks like a really good spot for a city street. I want to make this a community project with anybody who lives or works in the Village People area, and I want to make this spot available to anybody who wants to build in this spot. So I really want to get this area prepped so that anybody who would want to make a building in this spot would be able to do so within the constraints of the area and would make it, and it would make sense with the rest of the theme. As you can tell from the last time I showed this area, I've cleaned things up a little bit so that I've taken out like a bunch of I've smoothed out the walls, and I finished putting in this path here. And I still need to kind of go a little bit further this way, just so that when you're like in a specific spot, it will still look like a city street. I probably am gonna have to clean up that spot too, so that it looks more street-like. I think my idea is that, like, see these overhangs here? That's going to be where the second story of each of these buildings is going to lie. And I'm not quite sure how far up I want the buildings to go. And exactly what I want to do with the space up at the top. So it could be either underground city, or it could be like a theatrical staged area where at the top you have scaffolding or catwalks and lighting up at the top, like theater lights, like stage lights. Or I could put in like a fake skyline, or a fake sky, with like clouds and stuff like that. Wool, probably, or concrete. And as for the bridges here, I kind of have some ideas of what to do. I'm gonna have to play around with some ideas, just to kind of make them go with the whole area. And then lastly, I kind of brought out this wall here so that it's not as so that you can create this view right here, and it wouldn't be too distracting. But I did kind of talk about expanding this spot out too, or this could just be like more buildings. I'm not quite sure yet. Because I want this to be a community project, I'm gonna kind of lay out exactly how I want it to look, and so that anybody who's interested, hi, you're not supposed to be there. This is supposed to be spawn proof. Oh, hey, I can actually fire my arrows today. TPS makes sniping mobs much more difficult. There we go. Okay, that's not supposed to be spawnable area. Okay, actually, I don't want this here anyway. Yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna go over like exactly how I want this to work out later. But let's at least talk about a couple of things. Is the way that I've got it set up, each like flat space of wall could be one building. And when I say a building, I mean like it's got a different facade or it's a different shop. But all of these buildings are all connected together. Getting through here is not easy at the moment. There's no good way up or down, which is why I'm growing these glowberries, which take a while. And I kind of have to be careful through here because there are people who have builds in this area, like up top. And I don't want to like encroach on their space either, which is why I really want to work with the village people to make this whole build work out. So I'm going to do a little bit more work through here, and I'll bring you guys back in when I have something to show. Alright, so let's talk about what I want to happen for this build. So this area here is a city, oh well, is the ravine that I've been working on. And I think it looks like a city street. So I want to start making it kind of actually look like a city street by adding in shops along the bottom and then stories that go up. And I'm a big fan of visual aids and explaining my thought process. So I want to go for, let's start with the look and feel by talking about cyberpunk. I really like the way that the high-rise buildings just sort of like stretch up as far as they can go, and you have these like crosswalks in between, and it kind of has this sort of like really narrow alleyway, pedestrian street kind of look and feel to it. But I don't really want a full cyberpunk look. I don't want like dark buildings. I don't want like bright neon. We could have some, but that's not really what I'm going for. I want to take a look at some like real world buildings, and kind of have more of a colorful color palette. Something similar to this build that I did in creative somewhere around last year, during the snapshot phases of 117. I was playing around with some deep slate and some basalt and calcite, and I really liked the way that and copper, and I really liked how the colors sort of melded together. So I really want to sort of recreate this kind of look and feel, but taller on a much bigger scale. Something similar to what the Hermits did in Aquatown, or what Grian is currently doing with his Season 8 base. I don't quite want the way that Grian's buildings sort of curve into each other. I want the buildings to still sort of be straight. A couple of notes is the top of the first story on most of these buildings should be relatively in the same area, probably within like 2 or 3 blocks difference. Whereas like some other parts of the buildings can have like some sort of natural flow to them. The top of the like the first story should have relatively the same height. Shops can have some little tidbits, like tables and chairs, or maybe a bus stop or something like that in front of the buildings, or signs or something like that. But for the most part, like, this is gonna be a pedestrian street. We're not really gonna see a ton of vehicles, maybe like some bicycles or carts. And the shops can have some, can stick out a little bit, but there should be relatively enough space for people to walk. And I think the buildings should probably like stretch all the way up to the ceiling. I'm still kind of debating on what to do with the ceiling. Another good idea that I had was maybe a fog effect on the top of the ceiling with like some gray glass, or some like, yeah, different colors of like sky colored glass, like gray and white and blue. This path that's here on the top here, that needs to stay there. So we need to incorporate that into the build. This bridge here, we don't necessarily need, but I like the look of it. Maybe if we had maybe one or two more bridges, like maybe one up at the top or something like that to kind of tie it together. And the buildings themselves do not they don't have to be functional. They can be facade work. But maybe we can like incorporate a staircase or a bubble vader in one or two places. And if we want to put a farm in there, like keeping in mind the mod cap in this area, which is relatively low compared to other areas because there are more people that hang out in this area. And then we need to figure out like some sort of lighting, street signs and things like that along the pathway here. I want this alleyway to look lived in, to look cluttered, to look like people use this street all the time and basically live here. And I will make these pages available as a PDF or a link in the description below so that you guys can take a look at it a little bit closer. Each of these spaces here is one building. So if I want to open this up as a community project, then anybody could just put a sign down and say, this is my building. This building right here contains my base, so I'm going to claim this building. I might also claim the one in the back there, but I'm leaving it open right now just to kind of give more people like room to be creative. And then the street like mostly stops at this spot. We can kind of make it look like the environment continues that way. But once you get to like here, you're in the middle of the stronghold and it's really not worth it to keep going. And then on the other side, the street basically stops here. Again, we can make the environment go back that way, but I don't exactly know how far you'd be able to get. Apparently the above opened up today. So I may have to go check that out at some point. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to difficult mobs. So I'm kind of like not quite ready to go do that, but it might be good content, so it might be worth it to go do. Especially if you guys are going to be entertained by reactions to things. So then there's this space here. This pathway needs to stay here. And this pathway needs to stay here. This pathway may be optional, but I think I have a solution to that. And then there's this space right here, which I don't necessarily have a plan for yet. But it'd be cool if we could incorporate the buildings into this area too. I did not mean to fall. I just don't know exactly how I want to do that just yet. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the cooked cod that you find in your prismarine. I am Darkwing Duck. Wait, no, I'm SpiderHearts. I am SpiderHearts. The lonely Minecrafter sits and waits for the bus to arrive in the middle of the cave. So I've got a bit of a snapshot of what I'm working on, and I wanted to bring you guys back in. Here is a building. I did most of this building in a live stream on Thursday. If you want to come check out my other live streams and help me build out some more buildings, come hang out with us on Twitch. Links in the description. I was hoping that by getting at least one building in here, it would allow for people who are interested in joining this project to visualize exactly what I'm talking about. Like I said, this is a facade. If I wanted to put something behind there, I could. My base is up at the top there. And also a couple of notes while I'm still on the ground here. I want to add in like a fog effect at the top there. I think I'm going to tear that down and just put only white glass at the top. Because I tried to speckle in some like gray glass and dark gray glass, and it just kind of makes it muddy and weird. There's not as much space between the ceiling and other people's builds as I would have liked. So there's not as much space to add in a ton of glass layers. There might be more in different spots, but I think someone's basement build is right there. I also put in this pathway here. It's not great, but it does the job right now. Getting from the top of my base to the bottom floor was the whole point. And I'm still working out the details on how to curve it around, but it's starting to get there. And it might actually just be easier just to put in a bubble column from top to bottom, since basically like from this point down is all mine. Something that you can't see from the bottom floor is this spot here, where I brought the facade in a little bit and added in these a couple of supports instead. Hey guys, so I'm going to be helping with the Titans Helping Titans event at the public rocket farm, where we dig out a bunch of space It's just down the north tunnel, about 800 blocks. So let's get to it. So it's actually been a couple of days since the last clip. I just wanted to check out, see how much progress has been done since the last time I was here. It looks like a substantial amount of work has been done, and it's also not mob proof. Anybody who still wants to come dig out this area is still welcome to, but be careful. The tunnel to get here is also not mob proof, so be careful going down that too. Here is a map of the area. All of this spot needs to either be dug down or mob proofed with the red glass. If you want to leave, or if you want to save things to take home with you, you can. There's poppies for red glass. Whatever's left here. This shovel is not mine, so I'm gonna put it back. Okay. And then anything else, like storage for items you don't need or want. So there might be some stuff that you can take. I just wanted to see how much further along we've been since the last clip. So this is how it looks, and here's what still needs to be done. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for today. If you liked what we did here today, please give the video a like. Don't forget to comment if you have any suggestions for me, and subscribe for more. Have a good one, everybody. Bye!